It's 1 o'clock already that our webinar can start. Hello to everybody who has joined today. I'm really happy to see you. The ones who prefer just to listen, that's also okay. Just in case, I'm going to warn you that I am recording this because some of the people who registered, they informed me that they cannot participate, but they are really interested about the topic and how our speakers are talking about it. So that's why I promised to record it, and then you can watch it later on also. Shortly, my name is Karin, who is speaking here already quite a lot. I'm one of the founder of Motivating. We have this kind of monthly webinars, free of charge for all the interested people who are learning and development enthusiasts or passionate about this topic. And our purpose is to keep our webinars really, really practical, so that everybody are reading the books, articles, everything. But our biggest value is actually our community of our experts who have joined with us. As of today, 222 already in our pool. And this is truly a high-level quality who has joined all the forces in our community. I am really, really thankful for this. And this gives us the opportunity to cooperate and collaborate with them and to bring some important topics in front of you, and to ask about their expertise, to ask about their experience and their thoughts about it. And hopefully everybody who has listened to this short 1-hour webinar have some tools in a box after that they can immediately use already maybe today. So, but that's enough about me. Let's go to today's speakers. We have today Olga and today Katrina. So please, the stage is yours. Please introduce yourself with a couple of sentences. Just where are you coming from? Why this topic is important for you, and what you're going to plan to share with us today. So, stage is yours. Maybe Katrina, you can start.
All right. Hi everybody. I'm Katrina. I'm originally from Latvia, but I've worked for the last 10 years abroad in a very diverse working cultures, from Middle East to China to Europe, and specifically in training development positions in retail for companies like ASICS and Nike. And I've always been brought in to improve the work culture, because the conditions in some countries are really difficult, with many different nationalities, age groups, etc. So that's why I'm here today, to share my practical tools. I'm also traveling a lot and surfing, so that's why you can see this blue background. That's about me.
Thank you, Katrina. And Olga.
Yes, thank you, Karin. Thank you, Katrina. It's really a pleasure to be in such a company. I really adore what Karin is doing with Motivir, and really adore what Katrina is doing all around the world, including surfing and learning and development programs. So happy to be here indeed. And my main expertise lies in executive search and headhunting. But for the last 2 years, I'm very focused on mentorship programs. And what I do, I train mentors individually via public programs. And also I help to build mentorship programs that works for companies. So we do everything from the scratch if the company doesn't have a mentorship program, or we audit the existing program and make it more effective. So happy to be here and happy to see all the participants. You're welcome.
Thank you both for the short introduction. As they say, to dive in, you should always start from the beginning. So I would like to open the discussion so that first to start to talk about company culture and the importance of it, of this, and then to move to positive culture, then how do you feel? What is your personal opinion about that? How do you define for yourself workplace culture? What are the key aspects for you? How to define what are we talking about today in general? Katrina, you are muted.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, for me, it's very important when it comes to communication style in the organization. Who speaks with who and how do they speak? Because that's going to define the lot how free the employees feel. So it's always observing, is it only, let's say, a layer below going to layer above, or also somebody 2 layers down is able to go to layer up? Because that defines a lot about the comfort and empowerment the employees feel, as well as the communication style. For example, do you use emojis in emails, or you keep it very formal? Do you joke or not? Because again, that shows the way employees and everybody in the company feels that they can be. Do they adopt each other's communication style, or does everybody, just speak who they are? Because what we sometimes notice is that everybody starts to adapt the way somebody else talks just because they are scared to be themselves. So I would start defining the work culture a lot when it comes to communication. Yeah.
I
Okay.
totally agree. Yes, and what I could add that workplace culture is the reason why your employees don't leave when they have better offers from other companies. So that's something which holds them to the company, to this culture, to the colleagues, the feeling of meaning of the mission, all the values, all the traditions, all the communication styles, all the events. So everything which forms this strong connection between all employees on all levels.
If I now listen to you and digest this information, then I have a feeling like this is like a big thing that should be somewhere written down in the formal rules, that everybody can follow this. And then I feel that, oh my God, it's too much. Maybe we can just I don't know, sit together with a team and then just talk about it. Okay, come as you are, and let's make it. Or how do you feel? Is it something, the freedom of speech and the freedom, or I don't know, the borders, or what are our common understanding about the communication or the attitudes or the culture? Should it be something that it's formalized, or how should it be implemented from the beginning? Who should be the lead in that?
Yeah. Well, as with, if we look from kids to adults, kids don't do what you say them to do, they just will do what you do. And I think in the same way, it's, I always say simplify things, because, life and workplace is complicated enough already. So just simplify things, because, just doing millions of coachings and then nothing being applied is never going to work. So start from the, leadership, how people are talking there, because employees will replicate you. And if you show vulnerability and you are, just a person standing in front of another person, the employees feel like they can do the same thing. So again, it's starting in the core of, who do we report to and how they make us feel, how they behave, because then that's where the implementation starts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also for this kind of authentic leadership, which allows all the employees to take these role models and add something from them, unique, authentic again, and build on that. But basically, it should be cascaded from the top, from the founders, from leadership team to others, to be sure that yes, it comes to each layer, that everyone communicate ethically or behave respectfully, or are engaged and are just burning for the ideas. So yes, that's one point, but of course there could be a slight difference, a lot of differences between small companies and huge corporations. So you cannot assure that in huge corporation you can really cascade through your personal attitude and personal communication to all the levels of employees. So there should be some common rules or common practices, but of course they should be backed by actions, by behaviors. It doesn't mean it means nothing what is written if it's not done in practice.
It's your discussion just raised me so many questions in my head. I don't know in which order to place them now, but my what I wanted to ask also is this like workplace culture? Is it only for the small companies thing? Is it only for the big companies thing? I'm sorry, and actually the small ones is like we are how we are, small team, we speak with each other, or is it actually a topic that even the smaller companies and the CEOs should put their focus on, just with different measures? How you feel?
Katrina, unmute.
Mute.
Always the classic, right? You don't you don't learn from your mistakes. So I mean, it starts from a 2 people team to thousands of people team, because once it's involved more than yourself, you're starting to build the work culture, the way you work with each other. It's just, again, it becomes to complexity level of it. And I would say that in small companies, sometimes you feel it even more, because even one person can break it or make the team, because everybody knows everybody. That's the same thing, in each department in a bigger company. A one person can affect the whole department, but not maybe the whole company. So it's, again, that definitely just starts applying as soon as it involves 2 people.
And it doesn't matter if you call it corporate culture or you just you just have it, regardless of do you have some guidelines or no. So you have it consciously or not consciously, but you have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's agree. It's a really beautiful thing to have this everything thought out, maybe even written down. The leaders are showing the examples, everybody following them in ideal world. But then comes the reality. What happens when, for example, I'm as a team lead, I see that the culture in my team is really good, but the whole culture in the company, I cannot change it. I see that the tone of the voice is not good, maybe the behavior is not at the best place. I don't have voice for this. Of course I don't know, go to HR maybe, but maybe what to do when they don't have this kind of voice to make the changes, how to communicate the need of the corporate culture or company culture, and the good examples to your higher level, to the founder level, or to the CEO level, so that you don't lose your job, but at the same time you make the change. Do you have you had any experiences in that sense when the reality hits?
Yeah, definitely. My latest work, when I worked for somebody in Kuwait, I worked for a very big conglomerate. So they had retail, the departments, pharmacy, everything, thousands of employees. And it's an Arab world where you have Asians and cheap labor and lazy people and everything, right? So I was leading the training development department, and people are happy, everything is going well. But if you go into any other office, it's like a funeral. So I mean, in this case, what I can say is, and what I think, what I've learned is that I came with an energy. I really need to make things better, because especially if you're somebody that notices things and you can't just let it go, you have that energy. I have to go and I have to talk with somebody because I see an opportunity. So I did report to the CEO of the company, and the reality is that, it can go two ways. You show the example and the higher level agrees with you and says, okay, let's try to implement things and spend time on it. But you also have to be ready that either the country or the culture of the environment or the company is not ready for that, because that's another thing. We cannot always influence everything, and sometimes it's also coming at ease that, okay, as a leader, my team is happy and that's what it matters. Then I have to take sometimes the bullets, of maybe protect the team if I know I won't make a change. Because it's the same thing. We can fight people throwing out trash on the street, but you cannot influence sometimes the whole world. So sometimes it's also accepting reality, but I think it's really important you try your best. You build a case study, you try to go to a CEO or whoever is responsible. But if it doesn't work out, let it go. Don't drain your energy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And many of these type of leaders who are taking these bullets, they actually come to coaching sessions to me, and then they try to figure out how to react, what is the best possible outcome from this situation, or how long, how
Mm.
can I take it. And there is always this individual answer and individual big why they should continue doing this or shouldn't. So yes, that's a tough situation, and unfortunately in the companies where this type of culture stops at some level and not like flowing briefly through all the levels, then there could be the outcomes as quiet quitting or just bad culture, which definitely leads to bad results in business
Yeah.
This
and
is
bad ENPS. Like
Yeah.
everything can go bad in this case.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. This is just what I wanted to ask. That usually when okay, I'm coming from financial sector, but usually when I wanted to make a point to the board or to the higher level, you always need to have some numbers, and you always need to present that how we can save money or how we can earn money.
Yeah.
So, so
Yeah.
basically, to calculate positive workplace culture into the numbers, how to calculate whether it's
Yeah.
the retention rate is lower than
Mhm.
I don't know, good branding, saving the branding money from
Yeah.
bad branding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe you have used any of these kind of tricks also.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always building the case study, right? Showing what has been achieved outcome. Well, sometimes it is really, really abstract, especially when it comes to workplace culture. But then there are some HR tools, right? Like employee retention. That is one of the biggest signs if people are happy and not leaving constantly
Mhm.
and coming and going. I think that one is one of the highest KPIs these days to look at, because people are putting their work well-being way much more forward than they did it before. So I think that's one of your KPIs that you can always observe and kind of have the argument. But then, if you're the leader, like we say, taking the bullets, it's also taking care of yourself. That if you feel like you have to start to vent every day, or you feel like, okay, you go home and you're constantly thinking about something somebody did at work, it means that, it's not going in a right direction. So either you personally need to think, okay, how can I make it not bother me, which is sometimes indeed achieved with the mentorship programs, to learn to set boundaries for yourself, how much you observe or take it in, or see what you can do about it if it's in your control. Yeah.
And speaking about the numbers, my favorite tool is pulse surveys, because they show the trends. They show the comparison between the teams with different team leaders or between departments. And these surveys are anonymous and they are very short. They don't take much time. They are adjustable for each company. So not much resources are spent on them, but what you receive is the real data to build on all the solutions, all the next steps, all the improvements. So I would really recommend to look in this side on to these solutions.
And sometimes sorry, just to add something about Pulse here is that of course you look at the Pulse, the data that was provided to you for the employees, but employees not providing data is also data. So if there are departments who feel like they don't want to share the good or they don't want to share the bad and you're not getting a lot of responses, that also shows the engagement level, which also can be, a sign.
So to get the feedback and to understand that something is not as it should be, one way that you brought out was to make the survey. What are the other tools that I could use? Let's imagine that, okay, I would like to make this diagnostics. How is the current situation in my company at the moment? Whether I'm a CEO, whether I'm a team lead, doesn't matter how high level it is, doesn't matter how small or big I am. What are the tools or what I need to focus on to understand what is the situation, what is going on, what I need to evaluate? What are your suggestions?
Well, Olga is going to have probably very practical HR tools, like as she's already mentioning in the comments. But then I can share some of my, I wouldn't say sneaky ways, but a little bit alternative ways. One is a really good one is actually organizing social events at work, because it also sometimes is that employees will complain about company not doing anything, but once it comes to attending something, they are not attending it. So that is definitely a sign that they don't feel like, okay, this is more than my 8 to 5 hours. That is also interesting way and observing, are it always the same people coming or not? Then it is also one really important one that should be done with, again, observation rather than a tool, is if you have a multicultural company, even if you have a lot of 2 nationality, 3 nationality people, if the nationalities start grouping together, it means you're starting to have cliques at work, which is also not sometimes a very good sign, because it means that rather than everybody feeling like they can, make connections, etc., it's starting to make cliques because they feel like they can just relate with each other. And that's also like a way you can analyze your work culture. And like a third tool that is, again, you have to do your internal analysis, is the work hours. You have to observe, are your employees overworking, not overworking? Is there people who are overworking more than the others? Because again, that can build a lot of frictions of the way that the company is operating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would add also to what Katrina said, all these quiet actions, quiet leaving, not attending, low engagement. Actually, this is like the last stage of the problem of bad working culture. I would say that companies, HRs, managers, whoever should be very happy if employees are complaining, or if they have a lot of suggestions which is not possible to implement. And that's why actually they are ready for dialogue. They value the workplace, they want to stay, but they have additional expectations, maybe something which will make them more happy, more effective. And there should be an option how to find the solution, how to find the compromise, how to implement at least something what they are suggesting to make them feel heard and valuable and important. And that's how we can prevent these quiet things, ignoring things, which are definitely not good.
Thank you. It was really thorough. I was just thinking, okay, whether I will go any deeper anymore, but I think it gives already some of the hints that how should I start from the beginning, but we can't go over from the current situation that we are facing now in the Baltics, and it's tremendous budget cuts that the companies are facing. And what it brings, it somehow turns around everything that we followed previously. Previously, we were like, oh, people don't leave. Now we're like, oh, we're quite happy and then we don't need to fire you. So it's like the tables have turned, but at the same time, you need to keep the existing or staying employees still motivated, still keeping up the positivity. So I would put this question into two sections. And firstly, what to do in this situation with this workplace culture when you don't have any money to invest in heavy, I don't know, external help or external trainers or mentorships. I just need some quick fixes that the people who stayed are still happy, and I'm on the level or on the position of HR or learning and development. It means that I'm not on the highest level, but I'm in the between there, and everybody expecting me to keep the employees happy and calm.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, because regardless of how successful the company is, some of the companies still think they don't have budget for HR activities. So it's very real, different. But these limited resources, of course, they always are limited for all type of companies, for all type of times or challenges or economical crises. So it's always limited. It's first point from my side. And then what we should think of is actually how to spend these resources with the best return on investment. And even if there is no resources at all, there still is a resource. It's your people. These are people who are already working for you with high motivation. They definitely have the ideas to share and the tools to invent, implement, etc. I just will give a short example about one my client and one team lead who is who was actually from the very beginning very different from other team leads, because I help to recruit all the team leads for this client, and I know them all at some point. But this team lead always put the person on the first place. So her team was always on the first place. And actually, she changed these teams and became the lead for other teams who were not formed from the beginning, from the scratch. And so she received also well-formed teams with bad workplace culture. And what she did, she engaged from the beginning. From this initiative came from her, but she engaged through very simple activities during weekly meetings, between meetings, on ongoing basis, different challenges and quizzes, everything what connects people to people. And this simple free of charge activities enormously boosted the performance of this team, and this team leader then was assigned to new and new teams over the years. So that's a good example from my point of view what to do when you don't have budget. You do have
Yeah.
other resources.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to echo what Olga says because I've worked for, companies like ASICS and, in Middle East, companies rarely don't have money, but it's still somehow like always a low budget. But again, make things simple and don't stop at it is not possible because there is no budget. I think these days some ideas are we have so much resources available. It can be like things, a lunch yoga from YouTube in the office. It really doesn't matter. Get to know your team. Get to know what is your team's interests, and you'll find the ways. Maybe it is, I don't know, 20 minutes break to everybody do Duolingo to learn a language or something. Because when do you feel like, okay, in a workplace I can get something for myself, maybe a me time that I don't have at home, especially maybe for parents who have kids at home, so they don't get that 1 hour of their time. But if they can get it at work, they'll just be so much happier. And that's what I'm facing a lot in the companies most of the times. It's parents who work and go home, and they just want some time. And if you give them that time, you're already giving way more than you needing a budget.
So I heard open communication free of charge. Just be free and be open for your employees to listen and to speak with them and to offer them time, as I understood from Katrina. Really good examples like this. I'd like this 20-minute yoga pause with YouTube in the office or something. It doesn't take anything away from the employees, but it can give them a lot,
Yeah.
and to engage them and to create this kind of environment.
I mean, every like we said before, books and stuff, talking about wealth will say if you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, that's the biggest freedom you can give. But in a corporate environment, we cannot give that to people. But if we can come to a little bit closer to letting them do kind of what they want for themselves, I mean, that's everybody's dream, right? To be able to do things they love. And if actually, like, I mean, this is a bit of off topic, but like just coming to the workplace culture, I think if you as a leader can also spark the thought, okay, what makes you happy and excited? That's so important, because sometimes we just focus on work, but we forget that if people are not happy outside of work, it's going to come to work. So it is also having that conversation in a workplace. Okay, think about your life as a whole, not just about the work culture.
That leads me to this next topic that I was thinking. We have in Estonia, we have a hot topic at the moment on the table in the newspapers. Some of the big IT companies have decided to so-called call back their employees to the office. So we have a hot topic now. A lot of discussions that no home office anymore, at least not at that level as it was promised. Many many opinions in social media about that. People are feeling that something has been taken away from them, the freedom of choice in that sense, where I work and how I work. Okay, when I work is quite established, but where I work, is it from Sri Lanka or is it from Estonia? Is there anyhow the workplace culture context can support? In that sense, I already heard that one of the ideas might be that make your workplace so that you feel that you don't want to go away. That you can have the freedom there that you actually don't have at home. But is there any other ideas?
Well, I mean,
now.
well, That's gonna come to, I feel that if company needs to or wants to call back employees to work full time from the office, it's again, it's something deeper. Do they feel like their productivity is not enough, or do they feel like they cannot trust the employees? Maybe they're not hiring the right people. I mean, I know it's really hard these days to find good employees, and that goes across the globe. But I think it starts as a more of a question. And again, if you cannot influence the setup, you just have to analyze if it works for you or your team. Because sometimes we just have to accept the reality, or you try to not cut it black or white from the beginning. You try to see, okay, is the teams not happy about coming back full time, or they're not happy about having to live in a certain country, or would they be happy with the 3-2, whatever setup works for them. And then again, it's just, I feel like in this case, it's just really looking at a little bit from an operational perspective, and then seeing what you can do with it. And of course, actually it doesn't matter if you like the work culture online or in the office, it's still going to be there. But if employees are resistant to coming back to the office, honestly, it's a lot to do with the lifestyle. I mean, if somebody, has finally, I don't know, living their dream and doing something somewhere else, you also have to be ready for that. I mean, I'm probably one of the best examples for that. I come from Latvia, where we don't have waves, and I've dreamed my whole life to surf. And now that I can surf and every day between between work, I don't think somebody would get me back to the office. So sometimes it's just accepting that as well.
Okay. Olga, what are your thoughts on that, or your suggestions to the HR who are maybe working in there and challenging this at the moment, how to motivate and keep the existing employees motivated through the change?
Well, I have seen the companies which were working from the office even in COVID times. And these were the most successful growing startups. Startups like the company from the industry which is supposed to work remotely. But some of the startups, they really believe that only from the office you can do the best. And if this kind of workplace culture is communicated appropriately, and everyone understands why they are in the office, or maybe some future plans, maybe next year we can organize some vacation or something. But this common understanding why is absolutely crucial. And on the other hand, I know enormously successful IT companies which are fully remote, and when it's just not possible to bring them all together, maybe on some New Year event. I don't believe in this dictators request to come back to the office. I believe in correct communication, in explanation why. Maybe testing time, maybe some transition time, maybe some other perks or vacations or whatever to make the situation better than was before. And it is possible only in the situation when you do communicate with your employees like in two directions. Not only you are saying as HR or as CEO what to do, but you also hear what your employees are telling you. But that's always a compromise. I don't believe in these dictators' requests.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to ask you from Katrina, as you are so international level and working with multinational companies, 1,000+ employees, I think that you have taught them a lot and you have experienced a lot with them and grown together with them. Do you have any good examples to give from the companies where you have seen, oh my God, they have such a good workplace culture? This should be an
Yeah.
example for everybody, and they did this and this and this.
Yeah, I'll give an example of a smaller and a larger company because I think, not everybody can relate to a large company and not everybody can relate to a small company. Well, one of the large companies is definitely Nike, that, they really think about making fun. And for example, in all Nike offices, you'll have access to, like I said, your time. And even if, but we have to remember like that big corporations, you have many head offices and you have franchises, and depending on, again, on the leader, if they take over the essence of the work culture, it's going to work because it's not applied in every single country. But for example, when I worked for Nike in Amsterdam and Dubai, we would do a workout together with the teams in the morning. We would go for a run after work. There was a weekly schedule that, they could join depending on your shifts and things. So I think, again, giving that time and for people, obviously that's a sports brand, so it was a lot focused on the sports. But I really learned that having that possibility makes a lot of change. And for example, like a very similar case, even making collaborations with the gyms and other well-being centers for your employees to have discounts, to have availability. This is what we did a lot for a large corporation in Kuwait, because you have thousands of employees and the salaries are very, very different from people. You have from Asians who are earning, the bare minimum, and then you have maybe others. So we were trying to find a lot of corporations across the whole country to give employees special discount if you work for the company. So again, it's like you're trying to bring things back because you cannot pay always for 20,000 employees. So, but you can offer them something, or just, if it's a big company, indeed, make a gym in your office. So that these days is really, really relevant. And then for smaller companies, I would say, of course, the same thing applies, but there, good leadership will make a big difference, because there the layers are way smaller, and having the open communication where everybody feels empowered and, like, Olga said, that they are heard employees, that's much more achievable. So you actually come to work not thinking, how is somebody's mood going to be? You have a coffee in front and you feel like, okay, I can make my coffee and chat because I know that my leaders know that I'll get my things done. So that environment, when you feel relaxed, that's much, much easier to do in a smaller companies. And one of the learning management system companies that I work with right now, I would say, is a very good example with that. A CEO will say, I fucked it up. And he will go in and just say, this is exactly his words, I fucked it up. I'm not organized. Please tell me when I'm making, again, more mistakes than I should. And that straight away creates environment. Everybody is a human. And just being vulnerable. Yeah.
Olga, do you want to share your experience with this 1,000 plus trained mentors in your history?
Yeah.
How to integrate this mentorship to this workplace culture? Is it possible? How to do that? How can it benefit?
Okay, maybe I should count again. I think the numbers have doubled. But yes, it is, of course, possible. Everything is possible. It is possible with internal resources, with outsourced resources, for example, with Mentoring Academy help. But practical steps, there are many, actually. What to start with, probably with the decision that it is needed, there is value, the employees will see the value there. and maybe there are requests from employees, and maybe they are already in some mentorship programs which are external. Maybe they are mentors, maybe they are mentees, maybe they have actually the competences to teach other mentors internally. What is the communication? Who are the ambassadors of this initiative? So there are many questions. Actually, I have a guideline. If somebody from this audience is interested, I will be happy to share. Please write just to me in LinkedIn. There is no like molecular science, but still structure is very important, and logic in implementing every new initiative, because there are programs that work and programs that doesn't work, and there is a huge difference between them. It's not a formal just decision, papers, request to the employees to become a mentor and mentee. There is a lot of work on the background, and if it's organized properly, then there is a huge return on investment.
Thank you, Olga. We previously we also touched the topic really slightly, that cultural differences in the same workplace culture. You both have international experience with international companies where are multinational employees. Are there any differences that that HR or team leads should consider in a sense of workplace culture, how to adapt it and how to listen them? And should everybody now run to this cultural differences training firstly and to understand different cultures and then try to implement it? Or are there any like general things also that we can do?
Yeah, that's a really tricky one. And I've definitely been in the same room where you have Arab, Asian, African, European, and American, and everybody has a different understanding of the values. But I think it comes again in talking about the topics in direct way. About being open-minded and literally making very straightforward employees aware that what will make sense for this person won't make sense to you, and that's what you should understand first, and being really open about it, that you might not get each other, but you have to try to understand, okay, wait, they maybe come from India or they come from Europe, why this person is thinking like that. That's the same as traveling, right? You can be a tourist that goes somewhere and either compares everything with your home or criticizes here or go back home and then criticize, or you can think, okay, why do they do it like this? Where does it come from? And it's literally making your employees aware and talking from the day one. You might not get each other, and that's okay, because you are coming from a different background. It's talking about emotional triggers that can be coming, from different cultural perspectives, etc., etc. And maybe sometimes, even if you feel like it's a big effect, discuss, especially if it's in, higher leadership roles, go and talk with coaches and mentors. Okay, let's say why this culture does it like this or like that. But it's just putting it openly on the table.
Yeah, that's one way. And the other way actually is more automated, or from my perspective, more like effective. And what I could advise to everyone who has multinational teams, it's the work of Erin Meyer. It's the book and the online tool, the Culture Map. Maybe someone has read it. But it's just so simple that you put it on the map and you see how your team will collaborate and what to expect from each other, and which maybe will be the possible red flags in the future. That's it. And from my experience, I just counted during the last year. I was in African three countries. Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Baltics, Poland, Norway. and maybe something else. But what I start with, that we are talking like people to people. We don't talk like European lady to African lady, or a man from Saudi Arabia. We talk like normal people, human to human approach. And what makes these learning programs, which I help to implement in different countries to be successful, is that we talk a lot. So any concern or idea or assumption which I have about the culture, I do verify with the local people who work with this day to day. And that then mostly everything works.
Thank you. As we only have 10 minutes, then I'm slowly wrapping up already the webinar. For me personally, it was really interesting. I don't know how it was for the others, but for me, it was really eye-opening and interesting. And as there were a lot of different topics that we today discussed from different angles, from local to multinational company, from budget cuts to motivating employees through changes, etc. My last question would be to you both: that what would you think, you personally, what would you give to the followers and to the visitors and listeners of the webinar as a key takeaway from today? What would be your warm suggestion to them, how they can make a difference already today with one simple act or up to 5 simple acts? Already starting after the webinar.
Yeah. I'll give two. Well, one of them is, easy is right. And I really think try to uncomplicate things and sometimes accept, because that's where you will find more peace. Because if we try to burn fires every day, understand that one channel, that one thing, you can actually make a difference and focus on that. Because sometimes, we observe so many things and we want to, make things better. But if you don't have an immediate control over it, it can create more stress. So just find that one thing that you feel, okay, I can make a change in this, and focus on that. And then I always say, in a work environment, we are not saving lives, well, unless somebody here works at a hospital. So remember that, the training that mind, that, what happens at work doesn't consume me, is going to create a healthy mindset. And that's what you should teach your employees. Don't try to consume everything that happens at work. Do your work and learn to, channel that, okay, some things are in my control, some not. I can only, manage myself. And the second thing is really get to know what your employees like and see how you can integrate the time for that during the work hours. Because even if we think there's no time, that time definitely will improve things. I don't know if the employees are more interested in the theater or book reading or whatever it is, or you call it a 1 hour self hour a week, but that's something that doesn't cost, but you can do it.
Thank you. Olga?
I would give it 2. Actually, I thought of one in the beginning, and then I thought of another one, and I forgot about the first. But I hope I will remember. So I will continue the thought about the importance of this holistic life approach, that what you are doing in your free time fulfills you to be effective at work. I will give an example. I fly paragliders. I'm a pilot, so-called professional pilot, so I participate in competitions, world-class competitions. And that, of course, it takes a lot of time, resources, money, energy, everything. But it helps me to learn something from this hobby and to apply it at work. everything about project management, risk management, strategy, communication as well, attitude to mistakes. So many valuable things. So I would suggest to think about what makes you happy outside of the work and do it more to be also more productive at work. Yeah, and the first one I still forgot.
That's good. But I hope that everybody got the tips and tricks today. If somebody wants to ask something, then we still have time. If you don't have anything to ask, then maybe Olga and Katrina, you can at the end say also which kind of problems you help personally to solve the companies also with couple of words. That if the organization feels, well, I'm struggling with this, then Olga is saying, I'm helping you with these problems or challenges, and Katrina, you too. Yeah. Maybe with a couple of sentences.
I have a question.
Yes, Piret, ask.
Yes, my name is Piret. I'm from Estonia. Unlike the common knowledge in Latvia, Estonians are not all very slow, but it's a good icebreaker always because we have this fame in our Baltic countries. My question is, in the times of cutting the budgets, and in the times where the consumer purchasing power is decreasing, there is a very strong rationale telling, yes, we can focus on the culture, but the people will be bought over and they will go anyhow. And this is, for example, what I'm experiencing right now. Just a person in my team came to say, oh, I'm recruited by the defense industry company. Okay, we are NGO. Well, definitely there's no match. So what advice to give to these organizations who have a mission, who have a purpose, but they don't have obviously the highest salaries, and they don't have a dividend programs or stock option programs for their employees? Thank you.
Yeah, it's of course always the tricky one because from culture across the world perspective, people are purpose driven, but they are more, I want to do purpose when I get money. That's why we see a decrease with the firefighters and hospitals, because it's not like it used to be. It's becoming a real problem. In this case, I would say that looking at the statistics of the employee turnover in a year is a good thing, and then maybe being ready for that change mentally, because then you will invest energy, your employee, but you will not invest as in we have a relationship forever. So also accepting that come and go will be easier. And then of course it is normally the youth, finding somebody that is younger and more eager might help as well. But again, like I've said it a couple of times, but I think sometimes just accepting that how the situation is alone helps, because I personally worked in retail. When you have a new employee starting, you are ready that they can leave in half a year. So you've learned to be grateful for the time, and that this is not, they come to give, but they're not here to stay. So just that fact sometimes is helpful for you as a leader to know, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. There's not much more I can do. This is just the environmental setup.
What came to my mind are two examples. One is about NGO. Maybe I believe that most people from Latvia know it's Riga Tech Girls, who started absolutely volunteering and growing and attracting the funds. They became not like NGO even. It's the competence center for IT people. So there is growth it was like predetermined by what they have invested, how they have planned the projects, and etc. Maybe it's not possible for each industry. I don't know. And another very short example is about Twino in Latvian. Definitely know. Twino is a fintech company who lost at least half of the business in COVID times, but they implemented a specific motivational system. So in simple words, they said, if till the end of the year we do this, then we come back to the salaries we had before. And now we have cutting. And who doesn't want to participate in this? Please, goodbye. But who wants to stay? We are staying and doing. So they have succeeded. They did everything. And the team who stayed actually were the winners. But I see that the time is coming to the end.
Yes. But thank you, Piret, for the question. And maybe Katrina and Olga, you can sum it up by summarizing this by saying which problems can be addressed to you.
Yeah.
Olga, yes.
Yeah, to me, of course, mentorship programs, mentors, connection with other mentors, maybe, or trainers as well. And what else? Coaching, of course, and executive search and headhunting.
Thank you. And Katrina?
So I'm heavily focused on the well-being in a workplace, as well as implementing learning management tools from low budget to high budget, and implementing those projects, with also supporting with the training materials and also leadership coaching and training. And then everything from these three topics that goes like in the sunshine also is relevant.
But thank you, everybody. For me, it was really fun to have you here and to listen to you and to learn from you. I hope Piret also got some answer that she was looking for. And I hope to see everybody already on our next webinar. Until then, thank you and see you again.
Thank you all and goodbye.
Thank
See
you.
again,
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.